The second this is something that's a little bit above, I think, where many of us are. But as we'll see from the Zohar, this is a work that we all have to be doing all the time. It's work that we have to be doing all the time. When we read about Pinchas, the overriding concept that drove this action, and therefore clearly drove the life of Pinchas, was the concept of Nesirut Nefesh, which means that an individual is desiring to give up his life even, to give up everything that is important to him or her in order to bring the light of the Creator into this world. Without going to the details, and we spoke about this in the years past, in Pinchas' action, he knew that chances are he was going to die, but he knew that this was going to save people's lives, and he knew this was going to bring great light into this world. He was willing to do Nesirut Nefesh, willing to give up his life in order to bring light, the totality of the light of the Creator into this world. And I want to read a section in the Zohar in Bamidbar, which speaks about this work. And again, we have to ask ourselves, really, in order to get the gift of Pinchas, which is really the gift of true connection to the light of the Creator, the gift of immortality, the only path towards that is a constant connection to the consciousness of Nesirut Nefesh, a constant connection to the ability, or at least the desire, and we'll learn maybe a little bit more of the details of it, of an individual desiring to give up his life even in order to reveal the light of the Creator into this world. So the Zohar says at the end of the portion of Bamidbar, V'yechzei barnash garmei, an individual should see himself, envision himself, ki'ilu potir min alma, as if he is left this world, leaving this world. The nafshei maser lehayatar demota. He gives over consciously, in his consciousness, gives over his soul to death. Raza de Mila, the Zohar says the secret of this, Di'it choven delomit kapran. There's some things, some negative actions that a person does that can't be purified, Adi it pater bar nash me'alma, until a person leaves this world. Hadau dichtiv, this is what it says in the verse, Im yichupar ha'avon hazeh lachem ad temutun. That sometimes there are negative actions that an individual does that there's no way to purify them, there's no way to cleanse them in this life, and only chas v'shalom, in the process of death, can that level of impurity, can that level of action, of negativity be cleansed. V'hai yahiv garmei vaday lemota, when an individual, just in his consciousness, but it has to be real, but when an individual, just in his consciousness, says, I am willing, if necessary, to give over my life to reveal the light of the Creator into this world, then he purifies himself completely. Even of things that chas v'shalom, a person needs to physically die in order to purify them. V'tikun da, and this correction, which is the ultimate correction, b'chavana de liba, this must be a true awakening within an individual's heart. When a person awakens this true desire, then the Creator has mercy on him. And any negativity that the person has ever done is purified. Zakahu barnash, worthy is a person, that a person who truly knows the true spiritual work, with desire, and with the consciousness and the thought of the heart. And worthy are those who use this tool and truly attach themselves to the light of the Creator. So this idea that an individual, in order, let's not even talk about the achieving immortality, which is the process of Pinchas, but the first step even before that, that most of us are walking around with negativity, with impurity, which of course then manifests in negative ways in an individual's life, that cannot be purified unless an individual chas v'shalom goes through the process of dying. But the Zohar here gives us another way. The Zohar says that if an individual awakens within him or herself a true desire to give up their lives in order to reveal the light of the Creator in this world, it has to be true, it has to be a true desire, then the Creator sees that desire and removes all negativity from a person's life. As we said, this concept that Zohar speaks about it is not simply a concept, it's actually almost, one can say, the key to true connection to the light of the Creator. If this thought is not a constant in our lives, as we'll see at least twice a day, a person can't truly be connected to the light of the Creator. A person can't truly be purified of any negativity that he or she has awakened. The Kabbalists explain this a little bit deeper as well. The great Kabbalist Bnei Saschal says that this secret that the Zohar speaks of, this consciousness of desiring and having the thought process, I'm willing to give up my life in order to reveal the light of the Creator in this world, this is the consciousness and the meditation that an individual has to have every time he says Kriat Shma. Every single time we say the Kriat Shma. If an individual has this consciousness in truth, person has this desire, this true desire, when he says the Kriat Shma, which is, again, he says, if necessary, I would be willing to give up my life in order to maintain my connection to the light of the Creator, in order to reveal the great light of the Creator in this world, then all of his negative actions are purified. לקבל על עצמו באמת למסור נפשו. then יחופרו לו כל העוונות לקורא קריאת שמע במסירות נפש. And this is really the purpose of Kriat Shma, is for an individual, while he's reading it, to awaken within himself this true desire. And again, if a person is able to awaken within himself this true desire, then all of his negativity is purified. The great Kabbalist, the Rashba, says, there's a verse in Psalms and Tehillim, Ki alecha horagnu kol hayom. We are killed, it says, we kill ourselves every day for our connection to the light of the Creator. Ki alecha horagnu kol hayom. We are killed every day for our connection to the light of the Creator. So the Rashba, the great Kabbalist, says, V'chi efshar lehareg bechol yom. Is it possible that a person will be killed every day? Ela shebechol yom sha'anu korim b'kriyat Shma. He says every day that we read in the Kriat Shma the verse Uvechol nafshecha, which means I will make sure my connection to the light of the Creator remains, even if Chat v'Shalom I have to give up my life. Umaskimim alken, and we agree that if it came to it and I had to choose between life and my connection to the light of the Creator, then it's considered as if we have been killed. Because whoever agrees to do it, it's as if you've done it. The Rashba says, anybody who agrees to it, it's as if you've done it. I'm not sure how many of us have taken the time, but now with the Bnei Saschar and the Rashba telling us that we have to think about this every day, at least twice a day when we say the Kriat Shma. And this really is the purpose of Kriat Shma. And we have to think this in our mind. And again, from where we are now to, let's say, the Nesirut Nefesh, to the real ability to give up our lives in order to maintain a connection to the light of the Creator that Pinchas had, that brought him immortality, there's a great distance, of course. But the only way to get from where we are now to that level of Pinchas, which is the only way to achieve immortality, is to develop this ability. How do you develop this ability? At least twice a day you think about it. To whatever degree, wherever my consciousness is, wherever I am in my connection, I awaken at least some level of agreement in my mind that if it came to it, I had to choose between being completely disconnected from the light of the Creator or, Chas v'Shalom, leaving this physical world, I would choose leaving this physical world. And if you agree to that, it's as if you've done it. And if you've done it, then all of your negativity is purified. And as you do this every day, twice a day, again and again and again and again, eventually you come to the level of Pinchas. And eventually you are able to achieve immortality. This is the path towards immortality. Immortality is a nice concept, but the reality is that to achieve it, you have to first go through this decision. You cannot have You can't have immortality unless you truly agree that you are willing to give up your life if it means to be disconnected from the light of the Creator. And this is the Shabbat we have to ask ourselves that question. If you were given the choice to live the next 60 years, 100 years, completely disconnected from the light of the Creator, but physically alive, or to be connected to the light of the Creator, but having to leave this physical world, what would you choose? It's a very difficult choice, of course. But we have to realize that if we truly want to achieve immortality, if we truly want to achieve what Pinchas achieved on this Shabbat, this is the only way. This is the only way. And again, as I said, this is, often when we teach, we try to teach things that are on the level where most of us are at. This is way beyond us, but it's so important. This is the Shabbat to speak about it, because we have to be truthful. We can talk about immortality, but you're not going to get there unless you're developing this ability to make this choice. And again, as we said, I'm sure, and again, it's we should all take the time to think about it. Really, if you had that choice today, if the Creator came to you and said you have a choice to live 60 years completely disconnected from the light of the Creator, or to leave this world and maintain a connection to the light of the Creator, what would you choose? And to know that the only way to achieve immortality is for the answer to that question to be absolutely, I would choose to leave this world and maintain a connection to the light of the Creator, and to remain in this world and that be completely disconnected from the light of the Creator. And as we said, of course, from where we are to get there is very far. But if you know that that's the path to immortality, then you take the advice of the Kabbalists and you meditate upon this twice a day. And if you do this twice a day for a week, for a month, for years, then eventually you can come to the level of consciousness of Pinchas of Eliyahu, to be La'amavet Lanetzach. But this is the only way. This is the only way. This is how Pinchas achieved it, and this is our path to achieving it. This is the secret. It's maybe a painful secret, maybe it's not a comfortable secret, but it is the way towards immortality. This explains the story of Pinchas. It says, "Vehema bochim petach oil moed." When the Israelites, this was a time of great confusion, and the Israelites, it says they were standing outside of their tents. Yonatan ben Uziel explains when it says that they were standing outside of their tents. He says, "V'inun bachyan v'karyan Shma," that they were crying and they were saying the Kriat Shma. In this time of confusion, the Israelites were standing outside of their tent, meaning they were crying and they were saying the Kriat Shma. So what the Kabbalists explain is that Pinchas knew what they were doing. They were not yet on the level where he was to make that decision. I am willing to give up my life if it means the other choice is to maintain life but be completely disconnected from the light of the Creator. The Israelites knew that in order for them not to die, because the plague began, in order for them not to die, they have to get to that consciousness. But they couldn't. They weren't there yet. They were where many of us are. And therefore they start reading the Shema that says, and they're crying. Why are they crying? Why are they reading the Shema? Because they know that the only path towards life, the only path towards immortality, not to get stuck in the confusion and in the plague and in the death, is to be able to have that level of consciousness. It's called Nesirut Nefesh, where if you had that choice, you choose death with connection to the light of the Creator, and life with disconnect from the light of the Creator. But they're not there yet. And that's why they're crying. And they're doing everything they can to awaken their consciousness to the level of Pinchas, who was clear with that choice. But again, they were on a lower level. Even they were trying to awaken this desire within them, this clarity within them. They were not yet on the level to manifest it. It wasn't 100% true for them yet. But therefore it says, it says that Pinchas stood up more than anybody else. And it says literally a sword, Romach. But as the Zohar explains, the word Romach is the 248 words of the Shma Yisrael. What's the connection between a sword and the 248 of the Shma Yisrael? Leotzi machshavtam mikoach el hapol. ולולי שהיו העדה כולם קוראים קריאת שמע בבכיות בכוונת מסירות נפש, and unless all of the Israelites, and now we realize Pinchas could not have accomplished this himself. It was the fact that the rest of the Israelites were in pain and they were crying because they realized that they were in a path towards death, because they were not yet developing within themselves this level of what's called Nesirut Nefesh, this level of clarity that life without a connection to the light of the Creator is worse than death with a connection to the light of the Creator. But because they were awakening that, even though on a lower level, this desire, through their crying and through their repetition of the Kriat Shema again and again and again, Pinchas was able to manifest in completion this consciousness. And therefore it says he took the Romach, he took the 248 words of the Kriat Shema, which means he completely connected to the true consciousness of the Kriat Shema, which, as we said, is for what purpose? To bring an individual completely to that agreement of Nesirut Nefesh. Again, that agreement that if it's a choice between life with disconnected from the light of the Creator or death with a connection to the light of the Creator, I choose that. Because Pinchas elevated to that clarity and consciousness, therefore he saved all the Israelites. And therefore he was able to remove death. ולולא שהיו העדה כולם קוראים קריאת שמע בבכיות, לא היה כוח לפנחס. And had the rest of the Israelites not been able to awaken at least some desire to have that consciousness, Pinchas would not have been able to bring, even for himself, immortality, or for the Israelites the removal of death, at least for that moment. And therefore it says in the Midrash about Pinchas, it says, Vaychaper al bnei Yisrael, it says that Pinchas awakened the removal of negativity from the Israelites. It says in the Midrash, Lechaper lo ne'emar ela vaychaper. If the Torah wanted to tell us that Pinchas, his work was for that moment, it would have said that his work purified Lechaper al bnei Yisrael, to remove the negativity from the Israelites in that moment. Elavai, it says that he does remove negativity. Sheomed umechaper al Yisrael ad sof kol hadorot. That his light and the action of Pinchas and the energy of Pinchas, which we know what is the secret of Pinchas. It is that choice. It's one choice that he always had in his mind. What we call Nesirut Nefesh, which again is what we said, is that choice. If you had a choice between life without connection with the light of the Creator, or death with a connection to the light of the Creator, you choose death with a connection to the light of the Creator. Pinchas, because he came to the ultimate state of that reality, of that consciousness, he was able to not only remove the death and negativity from the Israelites, but forever, ad sof kol hadorot, to the end, to the Gemara Tikkun, Pinchas is that light, is that energy, is that consciousness, is that soul that has the ability to remove all negativity and to remove death. And therefore, and we can understand a section in the Talmud. It says, "Kol hakoreh Kriat Shma." If a person who reads the Kriat Shma, "Ki'ilu ochez cherev shel shtei piyot biyado." It's as if he's holding a sword with two ends to it, and that sword kills all the forces of negativity, kills all the forces of death. And he explains that when it says two swords, because when an individual reads the Kriat Shema with this consciousness, I am reading the Kriat Shema for what purpose? I'm reading it because I want to elevate my consciousness to be able to make that choice. Then he draws to him the sword of Pinchas. He has his Romach, he has his Kriat Shema, his connection, and the connection of Pinchas that helps elevate his higher and higher. Shemitzaref kocho im Kriat Shema shel kol echad. Pinchas is there for us. If you want, and this is what we want, this is what we ask from Pinchas on this Shabbat. Pinchas says to us, and that's what it says in the Midrash, it says, Brit Kehunat Olam, forever Pinchas is there for us. He's there for us in what way? For an individual who wants to come to this consciousness of Nesirut Nefesh, an individual who desires to be able to come to that clarity of choice, which is the path towards removal of all negativity, which is the path towards immortality. Pinchas is there for you. He's waiting for you to say, I know that I'm not there yet, but I desire to come to this elevated state of consciousness. And therefore, it says again, Ad sof kol adorot, till forever, till the end of the Gemara Tikkun. Pinchas is there for us. For those of us, again, who say what? Who say, I know that I'm not there yet, but I desire to get there. Pinchas, Eliyahu, come and give me, elevate me with your Kriat Shma, with your consciousness. And that's what's given to us on the Shabbat. שמצרף כוחו עם קריאת שמע של כל אחד שמוציא מחשבתו לפועל ומצרפה למעשיו ועל ידי זה מזיקין וקליפות בטלין מיני. What's the ultimate point? The point is that if you do this, you have that sword, you have that power to kill off, to send away all the forces of negativity, all the forces of death. But this is the work. This is the work. שצריך להאמין שבכוח הקריאת שמע בכוונה באמת. You have to know as you read the קריאת שמע with this desire, with this consciousness. ניתן חרב פיפיות בידו שמצטרפות עמו בחיות וחרב של פנחס נתונה בידו. And you receive not just your sword, but the sword of Pinchas. The sword of Pinchas is a sword that kills off death. The sword of Pinchas is the sword that kills away all negativity, that removes all your negativity and all the negativity that surrounds you. But as we said, the only way towards the sword of Pinchas, the only way towards the immortality of Pinchas, is to have this desire. And therefore the second understanding we receive on the Shabbat is that we have to, not only on this Shabbat, but this has to become our constant work, at least twice a day. We ask ourselves that question, if it's a choice, if it ever came to a choice between life without a connection to life of the Creator, and whatever reason that would come to that choice, or life or death with a connection to light of the Creator, I choose death with a connection to light of the Creator. Because there's nothing more important to me, not even life, than my connection to light of the Creator. And only as you develop that consciousness twice a day throughout all of your life, and this Shabbat we receive the assistance of Pinchas. And whenever we want this consciousness to become truly part of us, Pinchas is there for us. Then we receive the sword of Pinchas. We receive the sword of Pinchas that kills all forces of negativity. We receive the sword of Pinchas that kills all forces of death. But this has to become a constant part of our work. As the Zohar says, maybe the most important consciousness that we develop. Maybe the most important consciousness that we develop. As we said, we all want immortality. Yeah, that's the easy part. We all want the removal of all negativity. That's the easy part. But how do you get there? It's only one way. The path of Pinchas. The sword of Pinchas. The only way to get there is by working constantly, so that from where we are to where Pinchas was, in this clarity of choice, we are constantly working and developing our way towards that level. And if we ask for it, Pinchas is there for us. Forever, Pinchas says, this is what I'm here for. I'm here to give you the strength to come to this clarity. Ask for it, desire it, I'm there. You have a two-headed sword. You have yours, your work of the Kriat Shma, the Nesirut Nefesh. Pinchas comes right away and gives you his. So on the one hand, it's a difficult process, and on the other hand, we have the assistance of the greatest soul for this work. And that's why, by the way, it says Pinchas is Mevaser HaGeula. Why is it Eliyahu Navi is the one who's going to say it's the time of the end of the correction? Why? Because he's going to see how many people have done his work. How many people have asked for his assistance to come to this level of consciousness. And when there's a critical mass of those people, then he's Mevaser HaGeula. Then he announces, okay, there's enough people who have taken the right path towards immortality, the right path towards removal of negativity. We can bring an end to pain, suffering, and death in this world. That's what we have to ask for on the Shabbat, is to at least understand now really what the path of Eliyahu, of Pinchas, the path of Pinchas is, and realize how far we are from it. And ask to have the strength and the clarity to work on this every day. To work on this every day, because it is the only path towards the redemption. It is the only path towards immortality. It is the only path towards the removal of pain, suffering, and death from our world. It's a very, very important understanding. And even, as I said, even though it's probably beyond where many of us are at, you have to speak the truth. And the truth is that unless you're developing this reality, this consciousness, this clarity, you're not on a path towards immortality. You might be a spiritual person, might be a connected person to some degree, but you're not on the path of Eliyahu Navi, you're not on the path of Pinchas. It's very important to understand it.